conversation with the industry over the last, in the case of Syndication, the last 6 months, but in the case of some brokerages over the last couple of years, and changed a lot of our business practices. So for example, one of the common complaints of brokerages and one of the concerns to frame the issue is, please make sure that the listing broker and the listing agent have significant attribution on these pages, so there's no confusion as to who is the listing agent. Well, we've done that. If you look at Zillow, for example, on mobile, which is now where more than half of our usage is, look at a listing page on Zillow on mobile. You'll see the listing agent there. You'll see the ability to call the listing agent. You'll see the listing broker's name. That's more attribution than IDX provides. So go look at that same listing on a broker app, and you actually won't see the competing brokerage's listing agent nearly as well attributed. So that was a key issue. We heard that loud and clear from the industry. We addressed it, and I'm grateful that companies like the Civic Union have paid attention to the fact that we've addressed these concerns, and we've moved on to a large extent.
So we probably shouldn't even have this panel.
Well, no, you should have the panel because, as Mark says, it's an ongoing dialogue. I mean, in January in New York, I gave a speech at Inman exclusively on this issue and kind of laid out the Zillow thoughts about it and why I think it's important that listings are on the top real estate websites and mobile apps. And here we are 6 months later, still talking about it, but things are constantly changing. Business models are changing, companies are changing, the consumer's behavior is changing, and so I do think it's something that we need to keep talking about. We'll probably be talking about it in several years, and some of the particulars will have changed, but we'll probably still be talking.
Errol, what's your point of view?
You can't lose sight of mobile in this whole conversation. Rob Hahn, I thought, wrote a really interesting post on the syndication debate a couple months ago where he said, mobile decides this issue, because as important as any individual broker's website may be in their area, more and more consumers are shopping for real estate using mobile apps. So Zillow shoppers on mobile are 3 times more likely to contact an agent than a Zillow shopper on a desktop. So in terms of lead volume, for example, to the agent, it's critical. So traffic to syndication.com from, say, Zillow, TrulyRealtor.com comprises 15% of your total traffic. But as Mark says, the listings exposure that those listings get on Zillow.com, for example, or on Zillow's mobile apps, and then the lead flow that come from them, make the 15% number only one way to evaluate the efficacy of syndication.
My name is Gary Gold. I'm with Hilton Holland, our agent. And doing something against the will of the people, it just doesn't work. We'll have, if all these people get blacklisted, they'll just be a Napster for it.
So your feeling is, I'm selling my house, I want it everywhere, and every consumer does.
The buyers, the buyers want it.
The buyers want to see them all.
Yeah, and they're going to see
the
them.
seller wants them.
Absolutely, the cat is out of the bag, and it's working. It's also just working.
So, thank you for reminding us of the consumer. Isn't represented here. I totally agree. You approach it from the buyer perspective. Let me give you the seller's perspective. So there was a blog post written in November when a prominent brokerage decided to stop sending listings to Realtor.com and Trulia. And there have been 74 comments on that post, I think, and I keep track of them all, and I read them when new ones come in. A new one came in yesterday from WI Home Seller, and this person wrote, we initially listed with this brokerage. After 3 showings in 3 months, and after complaints about the low visibility of our home on the internet, we stopped listing with them and went to someone else who truly marketed our home. So that's the voice of a home seller who doesn't know what IDX stands for, who doesn't know what Inman Connect is, who doesn't care what Zillow's market cap is. They just want to sell their house. Okay? They don't care about all this industry stuff. All they want is to make sure their listing gets as much exposure on the internet and on mobile apps as possible. So the agent who doesn't provide that for that seller, and the broker who doesn't provide that service to their agent, well, they're going to be in trouble as more and more home sellers realize that that's against their interest.
Well, but it also could be true that the listing was given to another agent at 15% below the price that was with the previous agent, and that's the reason it sold.
Say that again, Mark.
It could very well be that the listing was given to the second agent 15% below the price of the first agent, and that's the reason it sold, not because it was on Zillow.
In this city, Zillow gets 4.5 times more traffic than this brokerage's website. So if you're a seller, do you want to risk it, or do you want to make sure that your listing is on the top websites? In 19 out of the 20 top cities in the US, Zillow is either the #1 or #2 most visited real estate website in those cities, including San Francisco. So as a seller, you don't want to risk it. You want to make sure that your listing gets the most exposure as possible. And brokerages like yours have embraced that given that we've heard feedback from the industry about these issues around broker attribution, listing agent attribution, staleness of data, etc. So, I think there's probably a lot more agreement among the Garys and this panel than there is disagreement. We have a new program called the C-Pro program, which Pacific Union is one of our partners in. And the broker sends us a feed. That feed trumps all other sources of those listings, which solves one of Mark's concerns. The broker gets positive attribution, the listing agent gets positive attribution. We provide reporting to the broker to tell him what's happening to those listings. So when we work together, it solves the listings quality issue and a lot of other issues. When a brokerage chooses not to syndicate listings to a publisher like Zillow, their agents are left to fend on their own, and they use these syndication sources to put listings on publisher sites. So if you think it probably creates conflict between the broker agent, it also creates a stale listing situation. If you think it bugs you when you get an inquiry on a stale listing, how do you think it makes us feel? It makes Zillow look ridiculous to a home shopper. We hate it. First of all, if anyone has examples of stale listings, please email me, spencer@zillow.com, and I will get them taken down immediately. But the issue arises not because Zillow is doing it intentionally, but because the broker has chosen, or their MLS has chosen, not to syndicate to publishers, and so their agents are using these other different ways. So for example, when a brokerage in the Midwest decided to stop syndicating, within a couple of, this was a couple months ago, within a couple of days, between half and 2/3 of their listings were back on Zillow through other sources. Well, what happened? Well, their individual agents turned to syndication services, probably including some of yours, perhaps, maybe not, you're shaking your head.
We don't work directly with agents.
Okay, sorry, they might have used Point 2, for example, to put those listings back on Zillow. And initially that's good, but then when there are price drops or status changes, that agent may or may not remember to go back to the syndication service and update it. So the title of the panel is, pulling your listings from aggregate sites, who wins? Well, the agent doesn't win, the broker doesn't win, the consumer clearly doesn't win, the publisher doesn't win. It's not, everyone loses as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the only one wins is we can have a controversial.
Actually, 19 of the top 20 cities, and the one holdout is Houston.
That's a really good point. Bob, you decided to assert yourself, right? Your listings, do they go everywhere?
Our listings go to Realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia, yes.
Yet you have become a competitor to them, in effect, in that market, as opposed to every other market you guys probably dominate, correct?
Our goal is to help the realtor sell their listing, not necessarily on HR.com or on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com, but wherever they can be found. We're friendly competitors.
Bob's so enlightened, I'm always impressed. A Texas lawyer that's that enlightened. It's fantastic. Who else out there? Oh, yes.
So I think this debate will go on.